Hello, you're watching World Talks on TVP World. My name is Sascha Fahrbach. The head of the German Air Force is visiting German Eurofighter pilots deployed in Malbork, Poland, as part of NATO's easternsentry operation. The mission brings together allied aircraft, air defense systems, and surveillance assets to strengthen the protection of the alliance's eastern airspace. Now, the mission began at the end of 2025 after a series of drone incursions into Poland. And now to speak more on the operation and its wider implications, we're joined by Boysen, Associate Professor at Civitas University. Good to have you with us here on TVP World. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
So, Professor, tell us a little bit about the genesis of this. I mean, these were drone incursions back in, I believe, September of 2025. Tell us already what you mark as this mission. What does success here look like? How long will this mission go on for?
Yes. Well, it's an open-ended endeavor by several NATO states, so it depends on the external threat situation, and unfortunately, we can't expect this to change anytime soon. So we can expect this to last for a longer period. We have had, of course, long before air policing in the Baltic airspace, and in reaction to already incursions by Russian aircraft. That started 2014, actually, or 2015. And now, as you rightly said, the intrusion of Russian drones into Polish airspace and allegedly into also the airspace of other NATO countries triggered this very quick and very determined response by NATO to have a much more complex and intense airspace surveillance project, but not only, because easternsentry means an extension of the pre-existing schemes, not only in geographic terms, so it now comprises the whole eastern flank of NATO, obviously Poland, but it goes down to even Romania. And so the geographic scope has been extended, but also the character of this cooperation of, say, patrolling and guarding the eastern flank of NATO has become much more complex. The focus is today on multi-domain cooperation. It means in addition to the existing air policing, we have now, of course, cybersecurity and intense surveillance, mutual, obviously, with the Russian military intelligence, but of course, NATO side has to be sure they know exactly where Russian troops are moving. It is the integration of the Air Force units with, of course, ground support. It's the planning, of course, must envisage that if ever anything should happen, the aircraft will be the first to on site, so to say. Will have to be propped up very soon with ground support. So this a few days ago only was a large-scale NATO exercise, really covering the whole area from Romania up to Finland, the whole eastern flank, in which this combination of drone wall. We have Sun in Poland now being installed, the Polish drone wall, and not only, and the Baltics is doing something similar. So it's very much more integrated, much more complex, and so to mirror the existence of the 5 domains, so land, air, sea, space, and cyberspace. So this is really a very, I would say, cutting-edge way of dealing with the security issue.
Okay. Yeah, and also I think, as you pointed out, I mean, this whole mission came together very fast last year. I think it was in about 2 or 3 days that this came to life. But as said, a foundation of other air policing. But I'm curious because the significance, if any, of the head of the German Air Force at this base in Marburg, I think twofold question. Does that have any significance? Does this become maybe a show that Germany might be contributing more in terms of resources? Might this become more permanent? I mean, the Germans are already building a battalion up in Lithuania. Do you see this as a kind of signaling for more to come?
Well, I don't think it will be a kind of presence comparable to that one, Lithuania. The Lithuanian, the brigade that the German army is installing in Lithuania, that's really a very unknown to the Bundeswehr history, a large-scale engagement. And on the invitation of Lithuania, obviously, I don't think Poland will have the same on its soil and doesn't need it. because here we have American and other troops. But the presence, first of all, I think this program, this Eastern Sentry, will probably continue for a long while. And I think the sheer fact that this is the highest ranking officer of the German Air Force, I mean, this is probably a regular thing to do, but it still has also very high symbolic meaning. The engagement that the Bundeswehr is focused with its allies on the eastern flank, that this is now one of the major places for German aircraft to be. At the moment, the number of aircraft that the participating countries have committed is not very large. It's each country has 3 or 4 aircraft at the moment, but this could be, of course, the start of something bigger. And it's the regularity, it's to show the presence, it's to, as I said, both sides, of course, are observing each other. We have Kaliningrad next door. So, I think it shows the commitment of Germany in it's regular business. On the other hand, we live in times where the symbolic underscoring of this commitment, I think, is very important, and this happens. And as far as I can tell, the cooperation between the military runs very smoothly. But from time to time, such high-ranking visibility elements are also very important.
Okay. I want to extend this a little bit further out also to other, let's say, German comments and commitments recently. I think this has come from, actually originally from Spiegel. This is a magazine in Germany that Boris Pistorius, the defense minister, has managed to arrange, I think, up to 35 PAC-3 interceptor missiles. That's for Ukraine. This is something that they need. This is a combined effort of some reserves from what the Germans have, plus other allied nations as well. How does this complement in the wider sense of Eastern flank, Eastern sentry strategy, if at all?
Well, I think on one hand, of course, it aligns again that the commitment to support Ukraine further is stable, and there's no questioning of that. I cannot really in detail assess what will be the direct military impact of this. At the moment, it's a more political thing to support Ukraine in somehow reaching the final phase of this war, which we don't know what it's going to look like. But I would say especially because in the past, Germany has been criticized for being too slow and heavy-handed and so on, for bureaucratic reasons and others. Every issue or every moment that shows there is a commitment, there is a tangible, excuse me, please, a tangible presence, not only of Germany, of course, it's always a multilateral thing to do, but I can only welcome this. It's together with Poland and Germany have been most instrumental, I would say, for training Ukrainian soldiers. But now already Ukrainian soldiers are training our troops how to do modern trench warfare. So it's a mutual learning process, and for the foreseeable future, unfortunately, as we need to maintain this strong surveillance and readiness. I think readiness is the key term here. NATO is showing, for example, through Eastern Sentry, that there's not just theories, not just any paper plan, so to say, but there's a real everyday exercise situation which the soldiers from the different NATO countries come together and train in almost real-life situation. And including, of course, Ukraine is not in NATO, but to show that this directly connects with the, let's say, the task that Ukraine has taken upon itself. And so I think this is a very good. It's a sad task, but they do it very properly, and I think this is a very optimistic outlook despite the dire situation.
Yeah, I want to also extend this now a bit more wider into politics. We mentioned a lot of integration, cooperation between Germany and Poland, Eastern flank, you name it, different assets we just talked about. In terms of also looking at the future then, I mean, I was just reporting in Baden-Württemberg in Germany, those are regional elections, but one thing that came out was that the AfD seems to be also now in the West more present in opposition party. If, let's say, if we look down the line, if potentially politically they were to gain more ground, the AfD politically more involved, or also a change locally here in Poland with more of a party that's different, how would that impact these kind of defensive, cooperative events and strategic operations?
Well, I should think mostly not at all. Mostly the commitments that Germany and the other NATO states have taken upon them and anyway have under the treaty, the NATO treaty, will not change. I think I said this on a different occasion. Whoever comes into government, and we've seen this with other parties in the past, left-wing or right-wing, they will have to shed a lot of their, let's say, pure goals or intentions when they enter the real structures of policy. And I think there has been, of course, this debate about leaving NATO, leaving EU. I don't see this as a real option. There has been, of course, more relevantly, maybe, and annoying to some people, this unclear position towards Russia, or in part, I would say in part, positive statements of too much understanding for Russia. I do not think, I think, let me put it differently, I think the real-life structures we have, the defense structures, the cooperation, the political commitment among NATO and EU countries is very strong, is very deeply entrenched, ingrained, of decades of experience. So whoever comes into office has to continue this. As happened in the past, let's say when the Greens 30 years or so really entered seriously German policies. Many people thought they would disrupt everything as left-wingers. It didn't happen. So, of course, IFD is a big issue, but I don't think the structures of military cooperation are in any danger here. It will be a learning process. It will be, and what we actually would have to see is some foreign policy program of IFD. So far, that's been a very weak point, and we have to wait and see. But I'm not too concerned. I trust that the ongoing military cooperation based on long-term experience and the professionalism of our soldiers, Polish, German, and others, will continue, and politics will deliver.
All right, thank you so much for that assessment. Really insightful there. That was our guest here today, Professor Jens Boysen from University Civitas. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Have a nice.
And thank you for watching. That concludes World Talks. We'll stay right here on TVP World for more news and commentary. Goodbye.